All right, we're live. Hello, everybody, and I appreciate all of you that have decided to spend more time with me because I've been live like all day. All day I did a radio show. I did a podcast. I did Be the Change, the Get Up. If you guys haven't watched that, please go do that. Go over there and check it out. I did a live with Matthew Brown, who is the creator of Pilled. Oh, right here. It's all opposite. Pilled.net. If you haven't already, please go and check out that platform. It's amazing for freedom of speech. Moving forward, you already know what today is. It is Sunday. So last Sunday we launched a new show called The Sum of All Parts. I love it. It's a discussion on issues that are faced in minority communities is what we're going to call it, instead of saying black or brown or whatever, because color is just an adjective. It cannot describe or prescribe a human. So Sum of All Parts. We have our panel today. Let me bring them on up for you. Everybody say hello to my great friend, Jantisha.
Hi, guys. From California.
Say hello to her lovely husband, Mr. Chris.
How's everybody doing?
Say hello to the lovely Gabby.
Hey, you guys. From Houston.
Hello to the amazing Mr. Real.
Hey, what's happening, y'all?
And to the very educated, very militant-minded, yet soft as a dove with his heart, Mr. Dallas X, one of my great mentors.
Hello, everybody. How you doing? How's it going?
And then we have one of my best friends in the entire world, whom I love dearly. And yeah, he's dope. You already know who I'm talking about. You can't have cash without the stash. Mr. Be the Change, Russo.
Cash with the change, cash with the stash. I like it.
That was good, right?
That was pretty good.
All right. So today's discussion, guys, we have some stuff to talk about today. Now, I know you guys are thinking, I thought that this was like the minority show. Why is Anthony Russo here? Well, if you guys didn't notice, Anthony's beard is not there, but his mustache is a minority because it's dark. So we brought him in. The discussion today, I need him to be here because of the fact of what we're talking about today. What we're talking about today, for the first topic that we're going to bring up, I'm just going to jump right into this, okay? The first topic we're going to bring up, if you guys were on my Facebook yesterday morning very early, or yesterday before yesterday, whatever, and I was talking about the lady Lipstick who gave her narrative on the black community and what she feels, literally this is in her mind, she thinks that black people are born in the ghetto, so they don't have a chance to be anything except drug dealers and gangbangers. She said we don't have a choice in the matter. That's just what we have to do. And I got very upset about that. I gave my opinion on that, on my live, but I wanted to talk to all of you guys about that. So we're going to start with Miss Jantisha. Miss Jantisha, how do you feel about a person that is not black or not Mexican? So let's just say a white person, a white American, okay, that has never lived in the hood, that only knows what she knows about the hood or minorities from TV and the news. How do you feel when they say black people are a charity case and they need help and we have to fight for their lives because they're being gunned down by the police at an alarming rate, and they're all born into poverty and they all have to join gangs and they all have to sell drugs? What does that make you feel being a minority?
Well, one, it sounds really uneducated and ignorant, but second, I kind of feel bad. I feel bad that an individual would even feel like they have to do that or say that at all. Period. Things like that actually cause a lot of division based on an idea that they have in their mind. And I know you mentioned in there something that they see on TV constantly. So my question actually, when I was thinking about it, was, but where do they get this? And I guess that would make sense if it's mostly media or TV shows that they're seeing this, they're being fed this information. But I feel bad that they feel that they even need to do that at all.
Right. I agree. Yeah, and then also social media. They go on there and they got their
Right.
Black friends, and then they see stuff. And yeah, so okay, that's dope. So let's move on over. We're gonna do the ladies first, okay? So I'm gonna move over to Miss Gabby. Hey, Gabby. Okay, go ahead. What do you feel about that? How does that make you feel being a minority when someone like that speaks out and says those things and acts like they know that that's the Black experience, and they know that this is why they have to feel the way that they feel and do the things that they do?
Okay, well, it's okay. So I understand. So it's both sides to this. You can go as deep as you want to go. You can go from when crack came into the Black communities. Okay, when that was a way out. That was a way of getting money, right, in the streets. So here comes the drug dealers, right? So this is now what they know. Okay, so now you got your whole Black community. Now it's turned out. You have the parents now that have become the addicts. So now the dads are going to jail, the mom's on crack, and now you got the kids out here fending for themselves. Now, is that the case in every single family? No, it's not, because you have the kids that did go to school and decided that they were going to go a different route. And then you had the kids that probably said, hey, you know what? I got to get it by any means necessary. You see what I'm saying? It's like two different things where you could either get out the hood or you could either stay in the hood. And I know a lot of people, like till this day, it's just something about the hood that they like the hood. And you have a choice. You could get out or you can stay in. And it's not always as easy for everybody else from the outside looking in. It's not easy for everybody, especially when you're a kid and you lost both of your parents either in jail or on drugs. So now you have the kid that, what do you do now? What do you do next? Who's going to send you to school? Who's going to care if you go to school? And so that, I feel like it's just kind of a tough situation really to be in, being a minority. It's hard sometimes.
Right. I hear you. So does it make, like, how do you feel when, like I say, somebody that is white that hasn't never experienced it or been out there in the, in the hood or whatever, and they say those things where they say like, well, we have to look out for Gabby. We really gotta do more for Gabby because Gabby was born into drugs and she had no choice but to join a gang. She had no choice but to sell drugs.
No, I don't feel like anybody deserves a special handout. You see what I'm saying? At the end of the day, you do have the freedom. Times have changed. Times have changed. You see what I'm saying? Wherever you lay your head at night, you can get up. Just as when you go and walk outside and decide to sell drugs and gangbang, you could walk and go put in an application and get a job. Gotcha. You see what I'm saying? So no, I do understand the situation, but I don't say they need a handout. I wouldn't say that at all.
Okay. Let's bring up my brother Dallas, Mr. Dallas Carter, X baby. What's up, brother?
Can you hear me?
Yo, yeah, I hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear.
Okay, well, you're really
everybody?
low.
How you doing?
You're really low.
Am I low?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. What about now?
A little bit better.
A little bit? Hold on, let me see if I put these here, bro. These are kind of low for me. Hold on one second.
All right, you go ahead and get that sorted out.
Go ahead. Go to the next.
Gotcha. All right, let's bring in Mr. Real. Mr. Real, how do you feel, man, when you hear that the previous stated?
I just think it's to me, man, it's perception. I mean, white people won't come to you that way if it wasn't what they perceived was truth about you. And so, when you start talking about stereotypes, the media, the films, the movie, most of them, and let's for a second, real quick, if you talk about, if any of y'all get on Amazon, they got a gang of independent Black films, all of them about drug dealing. It's all about drug dealing and some type of gang banging and murdering. And I mean, when other nationalities begin to watch and see this, it just further adds to the stereotype of them, You know, they feel black people are underprivileged, a bunch of savages, animals, you know, lower income, you know, can't do this for themselves. And then the media reporting. And a lot of times, man, when you really start even getting into politics, I know in my city, man, a lot of the money that should be coming into our city, they use our city to get money for the other surrounding cities. So they use a disparity in our city to get money for surrounding cities. And so this type of stuff has just been going on and on and on, man. So as long as there's a perception that all black people, you know, are gangbangers or on low income, and truth be told, there's more Caucasians on public assistance than there is black people, you know. And so when you start getting into statistics, you know, some of the stuff that's being reported is only the narrative that they want you to see. So, I mean, I try not to feed into it. My parents put us in mixed schools all the way up until I was in high school. And I've been around white people my whole life. You know, all of us have experienced racism or something at one point. But I try not to feed into it, because if you start feeding into it and letting yourself get all emotional about it, it just makes you, puts a bitter taste in your mouth. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I just think if white people do their due diligence, and what it is, they shouldn't have to feel afraid to approach us or think they got to come at us at a certain way, you know, from what the media told them. They feel like they got to tiptoe on us because of what, you know, the perception is about black people. And a lot of us, we really could care less, just to be honest with you.
Definitely. We're like, whatever.
What we gonna do, you know what I'm saying? And so I just think it's all perception, man. Listen, white people, we love y'all too. You know, y'all ain't got to tiptoe around us. You know, y'all can come talk to us. All of us are human beings. We bleed red just like the rest of y'all, you know. So it is what it is, man. So
definitely, I agree. All right, we're gonna bring in Chris. Chris, how do you feel when the previous stated? Like, what does it make you feel?
I think it's a mixture of what the last couple said. You got the stereotypes and the perception. I know I can only speak to me personally, but when people want to give us a handout, and if, by the way, if you don't know, I'm Hispanic. I think a lot of what we go through comes down to personal choices. Now, growing up, all I seen was drugs and gangbanging, and it's very easy, if that's all you know, to get caught up into that lifestyle. And for some of us, I have some family that's still in that lifestyle. And the best way I could put it is, it's like a drug addict. They keep chasing this high. It becomes something that it's an adventure, and they think regular life's too boring. But to say that they don't have a personal choice in it is wrong, because I can say for myself, I'm living proof of somebody who came from nothing. I'm not rich, but I'm successful. I'm doing good in life. And that's because at a point in my life, I made a personal choice that I didn't want to live a certain way. And I decided to do things and surround myself with people that was going to make things positive. So I think it's a mixture of, personal choice. And then some of us we don't have the choice. They are stuck. It all depends on the person and their situation.
Agreed. I like that. All right, we're gonna give Brother Dallas a minute right now and see if he can shed some light on it. Can you hear us better now, brother?
I can, man. I can.
All right, we hear you very well. Awesome. All right, what is your perspective on this, Dallas? How do you feel when somebody that's white speaks on the black experience as if they know that is the experience of all black people? Meaning when they say, "Oh, all black people were born into poverty, and we have to help them because they have no choice but to be drug dealers, and they have no choice but to join gangs." Is that the reality or not the reality?
No, you can never say that no one has a choice. But let's just go up a little higher. I'm going to be a little more tough on this show here on this topic. Now, you got to look at it from, when you say black people, we're not talking about the whole diaspora of the earth, right? We're talking about a particular people, African American. We don't have a true name yet of nationality, right? But our suffering in America is way different than other people around the world because of the type of slavery we went through. So I think that we are at a disadvantage for sure. I do believe that, but I do believe we also have a choice to do whatever we want to do.
Okay. Let's have Anthony weigh in. Anthony, now this is going to be particularly different, right? And this is great why I have you on here for this narrative, because you being a white man, a white American. What do you feel when you hear somebody saying exactly what it is that I just said? Like, for instance, lipstick. How did that make you feel?
Well, let me first tell you that I'm going to, just take 30 seconds to explain how it is to be a black man. So what is like exactly.
It doesn't sound right.
It doesn't sound right. It just doesn't make any sense. And that goes on a lot of different directions. It goes for a conservative side that just is like, I know what it's like to be in your shoes. No, you don't. At the same token, when you're trying to silence somebody of a different color that has the, oh my God, more conservative opinion, you're muzzling somebody and going, no, let me tell you how to feel oppressed. So there is no right way for a white person to explain or use one of those weird words like white-splain and tell them how to feel. Ultimately, whether they're black, Latino, Latina, whatever it is, Muslim, you can't just say this is how you feel, and you can't expect that everybody to feel the exact same way. So when I hear somebody like lipstick, it drives me nuts because it's again, and it's not because she's liberal, it's again people doing something that divides people, which is ultimately trying to speak for them. That's all it is. So that's why it annoys me, is because it's counterproductive. And it would annoy me just the same, by the way, when somebody says, let me tell you, I understand what it's like to be in a gang and be raised, poor and black because I was poor. No, you don't. It's a little different. It's different.
Gotcha. Okay. Nice. Like this. I like this. So let me jump in and give my narrative. How I feel personally, because I was in a gang and I'm brown, I guess black, if you want to call that. It's a color. I'm not black. I didn't black. All right. I'm not a black man. I am a Moorish American. I'm an American all the way through, but a Moor. That's the nationality that I am. That is the nationality. Every black person in this country that has ancestors that went through slavery, they were sold under the banner of a Moabite. So for argument's sake, we're going to say black people in this country are Moors. All right. What makes me mad about it is because you cannot say that black people need a handout or they need to be special treated because of their suffering in America and being born in, saying that all black people are born into poverty and all black people had to join gangs. That's not the case, because see, where I grew up, it wasn't just about being black. All right. It was white people that grew up in my neighborhood that joined the gang. It was Mexican people that grew up in my neighborhood and joined the gang. It was Puerto Rican people that grew up poor and joined the gang. And it was because that was in our neighborhood. That was what we were taught. That is what we seen. But when we knew better, we did better. So it's not just a exclusively black thing. Okay, black people aren't the only people that are born into areas of poverty and areas of gangs. It has this much to do with skin color. It's almost nothing to do with skin color. It's about class. It's about how your community is. It has nothing to do with race. Every race is born into some kind of poverty or some kind of affliction in their community. Okay, so for me, it makes me mad because, like I said, first off, you weren't born there. So how could you speak on something that you're ignorant to, that you only learn through movies, that you only learn through songs, that you only learn through, social media? You shouldn't do it, because I was offended, and I'm sure other people will be offended. You know what I'm saying? For that type of thing. So yeah, that's my stance on it. That's how I feel about it. Go ahead and unmute you guys because there's more to be discussed. All right, everybody can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Real, let me see. Hey, Anthony, how do I switch it to where he's in the middle right here?
That I don't know unless I'm in front of it. So just go ahead and just pop him. Actually, no, you probably can just roll over him and it should just put him in the middle, or it'll just be solo shot on him.
Okay, well, Mr. Real, I want you to take the floor, man, because you had something that you wanted to talk about. So I'm going to give you the floor. Oops. I took you off. I didn't give you the floor. I took you off the floor. All right, go ahead, sir.
Well, one of the questions we talked about backstage, and I got kind of a discussion last night on my Facebook feed, was how they announced that the Black Lives Matter protesters was burning flags and Bibles. And so, that opens up discussions and people start saying, well, it's not them. It's, it's not the black people. It's the white people. So my response was, I understand and I know who it is. I know it's Antifa. I know it's the anarchists that's, that's trying to push this socialist and communist agenda. I understand that. But my question is why hasn't the three founders of Black Lives Matter came out and spoken against it? Because to me, I think right now the movement is becoming counterproductive because there's more violence being highlighted than there is the actual movement. You don't even hear anything about George Floyd anymore, which was supposed to be the catalyst for this whole new movement that they have. And so you don't hear it anymore. All you hear is violence taking place. Now they're burning Bibles. And my question is, not only haven't the three main ladies who started this whole thing, allegedly started the Black Lives Matter, because we know who's actually behind it. Not only have they haven't came out and spoken against it, but you don't hear any prominent leaders stepping up to the plate and saying, we want, you anarchists to stand down. This is not what this movement is supposed to be about. I believe more people would support it, if it stayed true to its grassroots, which is, police reform, better treatment for black people. And now it's just been hijacked. It looks bad. It's putting a bad taste in people's mouth. And, and I've been reading how even the Antifa are attacking the black people that's addressing them in the crowds, telling them, hey, man, y'all need to chill. That ain't what this is about. And so they're being attacked. A young lady on my feed, she was saying how her pastor got stabbed, by one of them. So I think right now it needs to be addressed. It needs to be highlighted that, the movement has been perverted. And, at this point, where do they go from there? So,
okay, got you. So we're going to just move over from me this way. Okay, so John Tisha, I want you to weigh in on that. How do you feel?
Well, I would also pose the question. I know that Antifa is there, but I would also raise a question of, do we think that maybe it's part of it could also be white guilt gone wrong? Because I know if you've watched on top of the Antifa, if you watched a lot of the broadcasts of the protest, there were a lot of non-people of color who were pointing fingers in people's faces and yelling at people to kneel and yelling at them to, you either do this or you're against us. There was they were forced to make a choice whether they believed it or not, going along with this. So I would almost, I think that it would be irresponsible to not consider that maybe part of what they were pushing in the beginning of this, of the lockdown anyways, of the protest, not the lockdown, sorry, of the protest, if that didn't have something to do with it as well. Not all of it, but part of it, period. And then the other thing was that the BLM organization was never in unity in the first place. There was so much chaos. The three women who started it, they had their own agenda under the guise of, who was the first guy?
Trayvon Martin.
Trayvon, right? Yeah, they used him as their shield to move the movement. And then it kind of grew from there. But I know specifically for this year, because that's when everything blew up, at least for me anyways, that all the branches are separate. There isn't any unity. They actually were moving in kind of a chaotic order anyways. And since there wasn't order, that's why you're seeing what you're seeing now.
I agree.
And how there are people who, the heart of BLM, not the organization, but the heart of the matter of those communities wanting to improve them and change the house, the housing issue with parents.
Here's the thing, though. I can't find anything really that they've done. What kids has Black Lives Matter sponsored to put them through school or to put a kid through college? Hold on. Let me see. Go ahead, Anthony. Weigh in.
They have actually sponsored people to go through school because of the Act Blue funding. They're actually working on Joe Biden speaking.
Okay, so that just happened right now then. The Act Blue is new, correct?
Act Blue has been going on now. Nobody knew, nobody brought it to the surface. And I was just making a quick joke about Joe Biden, but nobody brought it to the surface, I think, until about 3 or 4 months ago, because it was noticed then. But it's been going on for the last couple of years because they're showing how much in donations has actually gone to support the Democratic Party. Not that there's anything wrong with the Democratic Party, but it's a political move instead of, go ahead.
That's what I'm trying to say, though. Everything from the start of it, they could have done so much more to help out the minority community or Black lives, is what I'm trying to say. They've done the minimal, what they've had to do, because when you have a 501c3, when you get donations, you have to use, I think it's what, 65% of the funds that are donated to you towards your cause. Is that right, Anthony? Somewhere around there. It's somewhere around.
I keep muting myself. It depends. It depends on how they have it set up. You can look at it as proceeds. Problem is, BLM is a corporation. It's actually not listed as a 501c3 charity. So, no, there's a blacklivesmatter.org, which is slightly different, but it's part of the umbrella, and that's how they allow them to. That's how they allow them to be a charitable company. But if you go to Black Lives Matter, it's blacklivesmatter.com, and it's very clear that it's not collecting donations for anybody. Act Blue is a .com. That it's actually a funnel, and it talks about donations, and that's why it's very hard to actually get a tax write-off when you give to Black Lives Matter. But there is a subset where you can go in. It's a lot.
And that's kind of my point. And that's kind of my point.
More mad. I'm gonna leave it there though. I'm gonna let that be. Let's move on over to Gabby. Gabby, how do you feel about this?
Mr. Real definitely hit the nail on the head. When he talked about the whole movement being hijacked. Okay, this is questions that I've been wanting to ask. Where are the three ladies that started the movement? Like, where did you go? You see what I'm saying? Like, are you in hiding, or are you embarrassed of the fact that maybe, Antifa, everybody took over, but step up, say something, say, hey, this is not what we intended this to be. Okay, this is not part of us. This is not what we stand for. Because now everybody is discrediting the whole Black Lives Matter movement. And everybody know I stand for Black Lives Matter, as I explained last Sunday.
Right.
It has nothing to do with the burning of the buildings, the killing people. That's not what I stand for. I'm standing for justice for all, equality for all, and for what's right. And that's it. You see what I'm saying? And now all this is happening, and nobody's saying anything. Like, we need somebody to say something like, look, we're separating ourselves. Let's change the Black Lives Matter movement to something else. We got to call it something else, because the good is getting corrupted with the bad. And that is like Gabby, so disgusting.
Here's the thing. Like you just said, need somebody to step out and say something. Why haven't they? I always think, what's the end game? Because it hasn't been hijacked. That's my conclusion. The Black Lives Matter organization wasn't hijacked. This has always been the reason for them. This has always been what they wanted to do. This is working exactly as they wanted it to do. That's why they're not speaking out saying, hey, we don't support this. Hey, we don't want people burning down buildings. Hey, we don't want, people. No, they are a Marxist system, self-proclaimed, and they want to break down Black families. You know what I'm saying? They are not for Black lives. They do not give a rat's ass about Black lives. And that's my stance on it from all the studying that I've done about Black Lives Matter, and then seeing what they come out and be about. When they first started, I 100% believed in them. I was 100% Black Lives Matter all day long. But as I seen the progression of what they did, they only came out for race. They only came out for race. They only came out to cause chaos. They only came out to speak out when it was a white cop killing a Black guy. They didn't come to the hood at all for gang violence. They didn't. And then they say, well, that's not what we're here to touch on. We're only here to touch on police brutality and police murdering Black people. Well, that only happens like 2% of the year. You know what I'm saying? Only 9 people out of the entire year. So for the whole rest of Black violence, you don't care about it, only when it's done by a cop. And it's got to be a white cop. Can't be a Black cop. It's got to be a white cop. You know what I'm saying? So they are doing exactly what they set out to do. They're doing exactly what they were made for. as far as I'm concerned. Now, the people, I stand with the people that's like you, that support Black Lives Matter, because I know where your heart's at. I know what you mean when you say Black Lives Matter. But the people that orchestrated Black Lives Matter don't believe the same as you. They don't want the same as you. They don't want justice. They don't want equality. They don't want none of those things. They want chaos and they want disunity. They want division. That's my opinion.
Okay.
Anthony, how you feel?
I agree with you.
You looking at me? Who'd you say?
Go for it.
All right. So I'm going to follow up on yours, Cash, and it's things that I've actually realized from the get-go. And no, it has not been hijacked. It was bad from the beginning, and I'm going to tell you why. Because I used to go, why do they keep picking these terrible martyrs? Why are they picking the wrong person to highlight? And now I think we're seeing why. The point of this, the message was to hijack and create division. And Cash, 7 years ago, you're a different person than you are now. I'm going to be honest. When I saw Trayvon Martin's situation, it made me more mad of the protests. And then it translated into Michael Brown. They were picking people that they knew that some right-leaning or slightly more conservative side white people would not be able to be on board with the movement, because they would go, well, why are they keep showing pictures of Trayvon when he's 12 years old? He's 17. He's had a record and all these things. Now, does that mean anybody should die? Absolutely not. But will it cause division by making him your poster child? Number two, you look at Michael Brown, being from St. Louis. To me, that was he's got a plaque in St. Louis. He had a president attend his funeral, and all we see is a photo of him when he was in marching band at the age of 13. And what that does by picking him as your Black Lives Matter voice, and I'm not saying black people did, I'm saying the organization did. They pick that because they know people are going to get on board that don't quite know any better, and they just see, oh my God, another white cop killing a black person. And then you realize they're going to find people like me that are going to get really upset and go, no, he's 300 pounds and he was beating up a cop. He just robbed a liquor store. Why do we care about him? And now the last thing I'll say is the person that would have been the poster child to bring people together, like the George Floyd that we're forced to because we saw the image in our head, Tamir Rice. Tamir Rice still to this day barely got any coverage. It was an innocent, an actual 12-year-old innocently and killed. And I've seen the video. It's the worst police work on the planet. They didn't share that one as much because they knew that it would bring people together. So it never was hijacked. It was just never good from the beginning. It was meant to divide us.
Exactly. That's exactly right. That whole situation was sad. Like, if that would have been anything at all that they could have used to stand, like to stand on their movement of Black Lives Matter, why didn't his? Because like he said, it would have brought everyone together. It would have been no point. There's no way that you can divide. Every single one that they've used has been controversial and has been something with race and has been something that will cause a divide. You got to look at everything that they do. But it's okay. Let's go on, move on over to Dallas, brother. Go ahead, man. Give your thoughts.
Well, I want to kind of, state my stance and as far as being a black man in America, in my experience, I really don't have the mindset. Like, I'm not into, because of the teaching that I come from. Am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Am I back?
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I don't believe in protests. I don't believe in begging the power structure for justice, because I do believe that we can do for ourselves. But I want to pose a question as well. To the basis of this show is, are we talking to educate our white brothers and sisters?
No.
Is the basis of the show for our topics? Or okay, because I want to speak on. I had a question too, because I saw some of the comments, and it's like every time I think when a black person brings up slavery, excuse me, why does that offend white people?
I don't think it offends all white people. See, that's a generalization, and I don't believe that to be the case. I believe that to be the case with some white people, the same way that some black people would get upset about some topics that get brought up. But to throw everybody in one lot, I disagree. I don't think that all white people get offended when you bring up slavery. I believe it's a discussion that can be had and has been had with people who want to have that discussion.
Okay. And I only say that because we're still at a disadvantage. Okay, we're 400 years, and our educational system has failed us. The financial system has failed us. And it seems like people expect us to get our shit together and really don't want to give us, you know, our proper due of reparations. And so I think that's a big issue there.
Why do you think it's a big issue?
Because if you look at everybody that has gone through some kind of struggle, I got something in my throat. They have been given reparations, and it has done well for the healing of those two people. We're the only people on the planet that haven't had that discussion yet.
Okay, so what do you think? What? Let's have the discussion right now. Let's talk about it. Let's shed some light on it.
Okay. I mean, again, at this point, you know, Black Lives Matter to me is irrelevant. We're not, again, like you guys, I agree with you guys. We're not making any progress with it. But I think we have to go to the root of the problem. And I don't think that we're really bringing up the hard conversation of healing. It's like we're trying to put the cart before the horse, you know. And again, I come from two bloodlines. My mother's white, and she understands my struggles as a Black man. But I feel like as a Black man, when we bring up our pain, it feels like we get shunned. You know, we have to be the nice guy. We have to kind of put on a good face. And I think that's a big issue. And I think that's causing an uncomfortable position for Black and white people. And that's why I said I like what Trump has done as far as allowing people to be themselves. And so I just wanted to kind of take the conversation a little deeper on the show, because I know we're talking about politics and movements and things like that. But I think it's going to be hard for Black and white people to heal, brother, in my opinion, if we don't allow people to express their pain. Okay, and give you an example. You know, and again, I went through the comments and I saw beautiful comments. I'm not trying to be divisive here. I just feel like, is it hard? I want to ask our audience, since we're here to educate them, is it hard for them to hear about our suffering? And then when we say that, because remember, Cash, our suffering has been very, very particular. Our slavery was not like other slavery. Our slavery robbed us from everything, all the knowledge of ourselves and everything. So even me and you, we've been in schools of knowledge right now, schools of thought. You're a Moor, I'm a Muslim, and all that's cool. But that doesn't erase the pain of the two people of the two peoples that are striving to live together, striving to get along. Give me a few more minutes. I mean, a few more time.
Well, wait. Before you keep going, that's the thing, though. We are not struggling to live together. This is what I'm saying.
Okay,
we are not struggling to. Me and you are a product of them living together, of the two people living together. This is not the 60s. This isn't the 50s. This isn't even the 70s. This isn't even the 80s. Like, I get what you're saying. I understand. I get the mental breakdown of what you're saying. I get it. The mental aspect of how people, you know, people of color have been abused mentally because of slavery and the ongoing effects of slavery, because of the schools of thought that were brought upon them or taken from them during that time and then not passed on to children. I get it. But to say that, you know, today's people, today's white people and today's Black people can't coexist or having a struggle living together because of those things, I just don't find to be true, bro.
Okay. Now, this is not just coming from a Black perspective. If you go back and read about the presidents, all right, so that's why I said I wanted to go a little deeper with this thing, because I'm all for the unity. I'm all for the healing. But we got to have the tough conversation. I brought up the fact of, and I know people, hey, well, why you always go back to slavery? Because it was what damaged us. When you see brothers right now all in the mall acting like I'm doing all this crazy, you have to ask, where does that come from? Okay, yes, our people sold us. Yes, the Muslims had something in it. White folks had something to do with it. Jews had something to do with it. But everybody else on the planet has had reparations, had healing. I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about somebody caring enough for you about your struggle. Now, listen, don't go back to when you talked about the dope in the hood. Okay, You was in a gang. I was gangster disciple. Well, I had a choice. Okay, of course I had a choice. But what's the question that is ever asked? How did dope get into the community? Did the CIA put the coke in the community? So we have always been at a disadvantage until this day. So I feel like I love your audience.
My brother, wait. But you're missing it. See, you're only thinking that affected. You only think that affected Black people. It did not. It affected all people. This is not a Black thing. When they put dope in the community, it affected white people.
My white brother.
It affected Dude, I got a white brother that comes from the same mother as me, and my mother was affected by that crack because in turn she was addicted to that shit.
I get it, but was he ever separated from his territory, from his land? Has he ever had to live under feeling like being?
What land was we separated from?
We're separated from our home. This is not our home. This is not our
home.
So
you're telling me that black people weren't already in America when they brought slaves over here?
No, that's different. Those are black people that have never lost their lineage. They never lost their ancestry.
They did.
They were black Indians. These were indigenous people. We
went
all around the planet. We went all around the planet. I'm not talking about those few black folk. I'm talking about with the lineage that me and you come from. Okay, here's my thing. I hear you, Cash. You know, I'm gonna be honest with you on this show. I told you I wanted to go a little deeper. I wrote you the other day, and I said, "Well, man, I love what you're doing, but I feel like we're kind of going ahead, and I don't want to say we're excusing the power structure here and what we're doing, but give you an example. If I can do whatever I want to do. This is what I hear a lot of white folks say when they say, well, why are you complaining? What are you mad about? You can be Michael Jordan. You can be, damn it, the president, Obama. But see, it's still not my country. It's still not my home. It's never going to have,
I disagree.
We're never going to be able to have the respect of our former slave masters if we don't do for ourselves. Right?
Some of your former slave masters was black, though, brother. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I could give you a long list of black. I'm telling the truth. I could give you a long list of documented black slave owners. It's not about majority. See, we don't know what if we come from slave owners on both sides? What if both sides of where we come from?
My grandfather did. My great grandfather did have slaves in Barbados.
Okay, but that's what I'm trying to say, bro. So right now, what I'm trying to say in this country where we live at right now, I got the same opportunity as the white man in this country. I do. I have the same opportunity to do all the things that I want to do in this country as him. It might be a little harder for me to get there because of where I'm born, where I first started out, but where I first started out is not where I have to stay.
But
That's what I'm trying to say.
Do you have the power to print money? Will you ever have the power to
Rousseau don't have the power to print money?
Huh?
Rousseau don't got the power to print money.
I know that.
Don't got the power.
I'm not talking about I'm not talking about him.
So you're talking about the top percent of America.
I'm not talking about
him. But that has nothing to do with white or black, because people that are in power are in all forms of colors. There aren't just white people at the top. There's rich black people at the top, bro. There's rich Mexican people at the top. There's rich Chinese people at the top that created this structure of power.
Are we agreeing that European colonization does not exist today?
Bro, see, you keep going on to different topics. Let's stay right on one topic. Let's stay on one topic.
I went back to the first. You asked me about when white people ask me about my experience. I'm giving you what my mindset is about it. Not Black Lives Matter. I can't really speak on all that. So I'm not trying to offend you. I just wanted to finish because here it is. Well, brother, you got the same opportunities as everybody else. That's not true. Can everybody on here say that that's true? That's true, that we have the same opportunity as the European in the world with the structure.
Mr. Real, do you have the same opportunity as a white man?
Be honest, man.
So I hit both sides, but I'll say it like this, man. I mean, if y'all remember a while ago, Byron Allen was fighting Comcast, over discrimination, and Comcast used an old law that they were trying to use that was written specifically for black people to try to, get his case thrown out. And the concern was, and I was trying to get the Pacific law, the concern was that if the Supreme Court had passed that law, it would have set black people way back to the 1800s. And so I feel what Dallas saying, because
I do too. I love my brother.
But let's talk about Arabs can let's go there.
Arabs and Indians can come in this country, and the government will get them money to start a Dunkin' Donuts, to start all kind of different businesses. A black man can't even get a small $2,000 business loan.
Not at all.
At all. And so even the predatory lending in the black communities in our neighborhoods, even now where I live, in my zip code, the electric bill is cheaper in the white people's zip code. They even have different meters to read the electric different. So it's been set up and designed to keep us at a certain level so we won't surpass them. And so I understand what you're saying, Cass, because we still got the same opportunities, but we got to fight like hell to get them. We got to right, but we got to go through so many obstacles that your average white person don't. And so there's a disadvantage now.
So
One of the biggest disadvantages that we have as Black folk is they don't teach us financial literacy. They don't teach it at all. They don't teach us how to handle money or to invest money or none of that. And so, hold on, the education is completely different in our neighborhood. And when they do the studies, when they start doing the studies, you see that they're teaching our community from a second and third grade level, even though they're in the 8th and the 9th grade. And so when you look at the other communities, they have other opportunities where they're teaching them calculus and all trigonometry stuff that we don't have access to. So it puts our class and puts our communities in a disadvantage where it's harder for us to get ahead, where there's more obstacles for us to get by and to get ahead.
Okay. Hold on now. I'm not saying that it's not difficult. All I'm saying is that it is possible. Now, if we go back 100 years, we wouldn't have been able to do none of the shit that we can do right now. Do we still need some work? Yes, we still need some work. Is the system fucked up? Of course, I will agree. But when you say white people, I have a problem with that. It is not the white person next to you, Russo's, fault that we are disadvantaged. Russo is a guy that will be standing with us trying to get those advantages for us. So when we say white people, I have a fucking problem with it.
Okay,
because my mom's white.
Okay.
Your mom's white.
Can we have a white guy weigh in?
I had a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Russo.
Hold on. Let me weigh in on this. First off, financial literacy isn't taught to anyone. That's a flaw in the educational system across the board. Now,
no, it's taught in white homes.
What's that?
It's taught in Caucasian homes.
By the parents.
By the parents.
That's it. Well, you said education. That's a school thing. Do you know where I learned any of the financial literacy I have? On the same television set that every other family has. And then I learned it on my own. Now, with that said, across the board, there is systematic issues on overall education in the Black community and inner city communities that relates to what you're saying. But to blanket as, oh, at white schools, they teach financial literacy. That's completely wrong. Factually beyond all realm of wrong. And I was raised for it. Now, do I have privilege? Hold on, Dallas.
Oh, yes, sir.
Have I had any privilege that you have not had in your life? No, we are completely equal except for one element, which is white privilege. And I will atone to that, and I will understand that there is a difference, because I couldn't, when I was 16 years old and I walked in a Foot Locker, nobody looked at me weird. I understand that nobody thought that I was going to steal anything. Nobody thought that I was going to, and I understand that was our differences. Aside from that, single parent home, handicapped father, raised in poverty, on free lunch, all these different things, never was taught about financial literacy. So there is an equal level to all of that I think you're forgetting. Is it harder as a Black person from the white person's perspective? Any sensible white person's going to see across the board there's a lot of systematic issues. But I think you've been told some wrong information, thinking that all of a sudden as a white person at the age of 7, they're going, let's look at how to balance a checkbook. No, that's a family by family basis that just does not happen in the Black community. And that's actually what needs to change. You know who can actually do that? Not me, you. Go ahead and unmute.
I'm muted.
Hey.
Okay. I'm
Go ahead, you're not muted.
Okay.
You're good.
That's a great point, brother. Go ahead, because I don't want to, because I have a lot that I want to say. But brother, up top, I'm sorry, right here, my man.
Chris, go ahead, Chris. Unmute yourself.
All right. So, are we good?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay. So, I want to go back to what Russo said real quick. White privilege. Okay. Here's the thing: when you walk into and you have a certain look, people aren't, and this is what we're having the issue with. We keep generalizing, and I'm telling you, when you walk in, if you look like you're not going to steal something, if you're dressed nice, you have on a certain type of clothes, what we have an issue is we want to call everything racist, but the problem is not racism, it's perception. And we did this the other day. Me and my buddy Vinny and my boy Dre. Vinny's Asian, Dre's Black, and we were talking about perception. And we think it's funny how we got this dude we work with, suited and booted every day. Gator boots on, or the nice dress shoes, Black dude, and then there's Dre. And what we see is perception. And we were laughing because if Dre brought this up, if you're walking down the street and if you've seen him, he's like, people would walk away from me and I don't get it. And we're talking about, it's like, but Dre, look at how you dress. You look like you're still in the hood, even when you come to work. People look at the other dude and they're not going to run because it's perception. They see a dude that's clean cut. The funny thing is, in the situation, my boy's probably the best dude you'll ever meet. Give you a shirt off his back. The other dude, we know him. He's out for his own. He'll do you dirty. My point to this, I think white privilege, yeah, there's some things that we can say are real, but when you walk into a Foot Locker, I'm telling you right now, I got a boy that's doing life prison in Arizona and for double homicide. He would get the same attention as a black dude. Why? Because when he walked in, he had on baggy jeans. He looked like he was going to steal something. He looked like he was up to no good. So eyes were on him also. I think what we're missing here is the perception. That's one. I got a couple notes. Give me 2 minutes. One, we keep arguing about the past. And I'm sitting from the outside in because I got my views on being Hispanic. But what I see is we keep arguing about the past, slavery, and we know what happened. We know it wasn't good. But we got to start talking about the now. We got to look at now and what's going forward, because we understand that stuff was bad. But this is where I come to I got to disagree with Dallas a little bit when he said that they failed us. No, I don't think anybody failed us. I'm going to bring this back to my people. We failed us. We're the only reasons why we're not doing good. And that goes to holding ourselves accountable and responsible for the actions we take. And then the other thing is demographic and locations. We can't talk about what happens in Chicago. That is in Chicago. That's not everywhere. In California, we don't have those type of issues aren't everywhere. If you come where we're at, certain communities in our area, you don't see people being the black community being looked at different. Now, if you go to Oakland, where East Oakland, West Oakland, North Oakland, they're primarily black communities. They're Hispanics there, but that's the majority. Yeah, if you go to Oakland, you're going to be on your toes, but that's because the location that you're going to. It's not in the people that are there. They're in this lifestyle. I think what happened is we were going good, and there's a culture change at one point. I'm going to say at the 80s, you start getting rap music in and stuff like that. When the culture changed, there's a certain part of people started wanting to live a certain way. And the issue is we got to bring it back home and start telling our kids that the stuff that they see on TV, the rap music, the girls shaking their butts and all this stuff, that stuff is not good for them. And that's being preached to them every day. There's stuff that's being pumped into them on a daily basis. And I'm telling you right now, what we're looking at is we got to start educating our kids. It's nobody's responsibility to teach my kids about finances. My parents didn't teach me. I got white friends at work that didn't teach them. We got to take responsibility for our own. And then after we fix home, we go into the community and we start fixing the community. We got to stop trying to fix the whole world and bringing up this racial issue. Not saying it's not real. I'm pretty sure you go to certain parts of the South or there's certain cities, yes. But a lot of what we're arguing over, we can't change what happened then. We got to just look at what's now.
So, okay. I feel all of that. I agree. Check me out, though, before we get back into the discussion. I feel very strongly about my views, especially when it comes to race and things like that. Now, I'm not saying that there's not a real problem, because there is a problem. When you go and you do look back because let's be real, ain't no black guy or no Mexican guys got no boats. They ain't got no planes. So you want to talk about drugs being pushed into the community? Yes, that's a real issue that we can all discuss and we can all jump on that. We know when you go back and look at Bush and Noriega and all of that stuff that happened and how all of that went, I'm with you when it comes to that. But what I'm trying to say is it does not directly affect only black people. Yes, was it pushed in the black community? Yes, it was. It was pushed in the black community for a purpose. I'm not arguing that. But it affected all people, because there's no such thing as just a black community. There's people of races in every community, of different races, of different backgrounds. And then you look at the world today, there's more white people on welfare than there is black people. There's a lot of white people that are addicted to different kind of drugs, the same way that there's black people and Mexican people. It's not about color. All right. So when you get into saying that black people are owed reparations or every other race has gotten some type of reparations, that's not true. You look at the natives. Look at how the natives are still treated right now. This is their land that got taken from them, and now it's ours. Now it's our land, and we're arguing on this land about what we should get on this land that's not even really supposedly our land, if we want to go by that logic. Now, you look at Mexicans. You want to talk about being fair? We took Texas and California from Mexicans. That's rightfully their land. You know what I'm saying? You want to talk about the slaves that came over here. Now, you can say what you want to say about slavery. I do not buy and will not buy that the Atlantic slave trade brought all the different black people that were over here. I'm going to tell you right now, there was already black people over here. There were already indigenous people or native people. There were already Asiatic, and they took them people and they enslaved them people. They killed the men, kept the women, bred with them, had kids, took their language the same way they did from the people that came off the boats that happened to be black, which was sold under the banner of a Moabite. So you talk about a nationality. We don't have a nationality. Yes, we do. We are Moors. We are Moorish Americans. Black people that were sold in this country from slaves were Moors. We are Moorish American by nationality. That's the banner that we were sold under. That went against the treaty that was signed in 1777 and 1786 from America, who was recognized as an independent nation by the Moroccan government, by the Moors. So you want to talk about how we can fix it? Here, I'll give you an idea. Look up the history of things. Look up the history of the treaty that I'm talking about, and stop calling yourself a black man. Stop calling yourself an African. Stop calling yourself a Negro, and start calling yourself what you are. You want to pick your nationality up? You are an American. You are a Moorish American. When you pick up that nationality, some of the things that you're talking about can stop. Some of the things that we allow to happen can stop, and we can start repairing that. And you want to talk about the drugs and the violence and all these things, and where we deserve reparations, right? But look at our neighborhoods. Look at the majority of our neighborhoods. So we're gonna say that that's white people's fault that our neighborhoods are the way that they are. I'm gonna let you talk. Let me get my thought out. I'm gonna let you talk. What I'm saying is, we have to be accountable. We have to hold ourselves accountable. If we want more for our communities, then we need to get out in our communities and stop some of the stuff that's happening in our communities, man. And we can't keep on looking back and blaming somebody else. If we want more, then we got to go get more. That's all I'm trying to say. You can't point the finger at somebody and blame them. All right? So I'm going to unmute everybody, and we're going to start with you, Dallas. Go ahead.
Okay. So when I bring up reparations, okay, what I mean by that, let's break that shit down, because I don't give a shit about the money. It's not about money. It's about education and repairing the pain. And what I don't believe is that truly, I agree. I'm sorry, sir. What's your name in the top right corner? I watch your show. You and Cash all the time. I can't hear him. I can't hear anybody else but you. Okay. Reparations. The base word is repair. Okay. So when I keep bringing that up, and again, man, me and you can get into you're very educated, brother. So I don't want to confuse the audience on the technicalities of race and nationality. But I will say this, and I want to ask it with a question. White Americans, or European Americans, right? They're very proud of their flag. They're very proud of their land. Okay. Now, whether me and you were part of the lineage of those Africans coming over here, this shit happened. It still happened because we're looking at the damage of it. When you say more white people are on welfare, no, that's a lie. It's not. I won't say you're a liar. That's not the truth. That's in America. We outnumber white people on the diaspora of the earth 11-1. So it's impossible for more of them. All right. So when you look at our numbers here, though, they outnumber us in America. Okay. But we fill up the third of the prisons. So there's a design is what I'm saying. So me and you can get into the power structure, move ourselves up, which is hard as hell. But we're still going to run into the banking system. We're still going to run into a white systematic issue is what I'm saying. So I'm agreeing with you. Listen, I'm from the Nation of Islam. Really, I think white people should be praising the Nation of Islam more than knocking the Nation of Islam, because we believe in independence. We don't believe in welfare. We don't even get a 501(c)(3). There's no federal grants coming into the temples and the mosques that we do. We support ourselves. We've gotten people off drugs, brothers out of prison. They're in their homes. They're back with their baby. All of that. We're teaching financial literacy, like my brother up there said. Yes, this is all, of course, I agree. But I'm saying, since you have me on the show, and I'm not the one to really think that that kumbaya right now is the time. It's not going to fix the problems, I don't think. You see what I'm saying? So I wanted to ask my brother up in the right corner, what does, if you had a choice, I don't even want to ask that because it's a remedial question. I ask, would you change places with me as a black man in America? But I think it's impossible for white people to put themselves in our position, and that's okay. And so I want to know what is the purpose? How is the average white person even going to feel what I'm saying? They're just going to hear me right now say, "Man, he's animated.
It's not a rhetorical question. It's a good question.
Okay.
No, I would not put myself in your shoes any day. I also would not put myself in the shoes of a really rich white person either. Okay. That's the mindset that has to change. You're talking about a hypothetical that's impossible. You can't become another person. I can't become another person.
That's why I didn't want to ask that. You're right.
Well, I know, but I'm saying it's just but part of it is a mindset, because it came to your head to ask that question, and it's a Chris Rock joke from back in the day that was funny the way it was presented, but nobody should. Right now, we have to realize, and it even goes to the reparations point. There's certain things that can't be done because we can't trace things. I'm only 2 generations in the United States, and I have Jewish lineage. So I have there's so many different things. There's nothing we can change about their past, but we can move to the future, understanding the limitations that you have as a Black American, 100%. But still doing the whole you wish you weren't me. It isn't going to.
No, okay, I apologize. That's a silly question. Okay, that was a silly question. That's why I wanted to retract that. But I will say that I do believe in a high level of cognitive dissonance that white folks have of being 3rd and 4th generations down the line of the former slave master. You didn't do none of that. None of you own a whip. And if you do got a whip in the house, it's crazy, right? We know there's still ignorant folks out there. And I'm joking. But seriously, you all, what do you believe that you can do? And that's just an honest question. This is not a heated nothing. I'm passionate about what I say. Cash knows that too. You might keep me off the show after this one.
No, you definitely going to be a part of this show for as long as you want to be. But please stop generalizing white people. You did it again. When you said white folks, I believe white folks got a cognitive difference. Okay, that's not fucking true.
White folks that are watching, I'm going to learn, but this is all a learning experience. I'm sorry. I don't mean to generalize.
You're all good. I'm not, man. He's more offended than I am. It's okay.
Experience I had when I was facing 7 years in prison for armed robbery. Right? When we all do that prayer when we go to jail. Lord, if you get me out of this shit, I will never sin again. And he got me off of that case, and I got in church. But then I felt like there was wisdom that I was missing, and I ran into the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Long story short, I enjoyed the knowledge because it got to the root, not the rhetoric, not the It wasn't about the bow ties and suit, but I saw a rejuvenated people. I saw people that respected themselves. I saw a solution to the white and Black problem, which, of course, a lot of white people don't like to hear. A lot, not all, of separation. Okay, now let's go back to the Martin Luther King and the Malcolm X days. I heard you guys talk about this on another show. The separation and the integration. Okay, at one point in time. Now, we believe at the base in the Nation of Islam, if you look on the back of the final call, we believe that we deserve to be in a separate territory of our own to heal, not to not integrate with white people or not be friends. We have not one record on our books of harming a white person, not one. But we have been rejected, despised, spit on, and all of this because we say, well, we want to have our own land. Did we not deserve it? Well, you say, well, we can't put the numbers together. That kind of hurts because so did what's the guy that Bernie Sanders said the same thing. You're coming into our studios, Breakfast Club, and you want us to vote for you. And then when we say, do you understand what we just want to be put in the game at a level playing field, man. Let us play the fucking Monopoly a little bit. Shit. And he's like, well, man, no, it's too far down the line, man. You know what I'm saying? You guys are just gonna have to get over it and start right here. What's right here? What does that mean? If I trace my lineage back, where's my grandma in Africa? What street did I grow? I don't know. Or maybe maybe I'm from here, but where am I from? Our history was erased. So what does repairing look like? Fuck the money. I'd rather have a coin with my face on it. But I want to know, what does it look like to you as a white man who is doing the work? And I appreciate you, bro. I really do. I'm not being divisive, but I want to go to the root of this shit and really understand, since we're educating each other.
Hold on.
To finish that story. Hold on. When I brought the final call in my home, when I learned that Jesus wasn't white, see, that did a psychological mind fuck to us. See, when I learned that he was a part of our community, that didn't mean like white people were less than us, but why did you hold that from me? So when when that became a reality that I am a part of a great divine lineage, then I took white Jesus off my wall, because every community has their own God. That's a beautiful thing, in their own image, in their own likeness, right? But you know what? It was my mother, my white Caucasian farm ass mother. Listen, apple pie cooking. I used to be outside selling crack, and she'd come out with all my boys. Hey, how y'all doing? She never broke stride on her farm, white lineage from European lineage from Canada. I was born in Canada. Okay, middle of the hood.
Dallas, hold on, brother, because you're taking up a whole lot of time, and I really got to get this thought out.
Okay, go ahead. Mute the mic.
All right, look. Now, I heard a whole lot. Brother, you know I love you. You was one of my first mentors. I love you to death. I do. But I kept studying. I looked to outside sources for information. I've done a lot of studying, deep thought. I stay in deep thought, and I love you to death, okay? You mentioned, now I gotta say it because you brought it up. You brought it up. Said about a separate land. And why can't we get our own separate land? And you're a part of the Nation of Islam, right? I used to be a part of the Nation of Islam. Why hasn't the Nation of Islam bought some fucking land? Why hasn't Farrakhan taken that money from the millions of men march that he's gotten and all the money that they got? Why haven't they bought some land? Why haven't they created a community? Why haven't they created a new Black Wall Street? Why haven't they done anything to give back instead of selling final calls? Instead of having them brothers out there, having a... I ain't gonna get too deep on it. Go right ahead.
No, get deep on it. Let's get. This is for education. We're letting.
It infuriates me, brother. It infuriates me because Farrakhan has been the leader of the Nation of Islam for how long?
Good.
For how long?
Let's get heated. I want the outside community to understand what we're dealing with in the house. We have division in the house as well with our own. We have organizations, NAACP, which ain't done shit. Okay.
None of them have. None of them have done nothing.
No. Now, we're talking about the Nation of Islam. We survived the crack epidemic. We survived the CIA's attack. The FBI's counterintelligence program said in their mission statement to stop the rise of a Black Messiah. That's what we're against here. Like, why? Why would you do that? Why when a man like Farrakhan, who doesn't have, now you might not like him, I don't care, but when he doesn't have an arrest record for jaywalking, okay, you say, well, why hasn't he done this? My question is this. And even people that say, well, y'all killed Malcolm X and all this shit. You wouldn't follow Malcolm X if he was here. So why are you bringing up Malcolm X? What is that? No, look.
People did follow Malcolm X.
Look, we have land in Georgia. Yes, we could be doing more. Yes, brother. But that's an in-house issue that I don't want to talk on here. I'm talking about an internal Nation of Islam issue that we need to deal with. But Farrakhan's, that money from the Million Man March, I have to say, that money is still sitting in that bank. The only reason he doesn't spend it is because we had an official Black agenda that was set forth, but all of the leaders stepped away from him because of his anti-Semitic charges. So that money's still sitting there. I'll leave it at that.
Look, man, let me tell you something. My brother, wait. Let me tell you something. And I love you. I love all of y'all. You know that. I used to adore Farrakhan. I thought I was talking to Jesus when I went to the Kobo Center when I was 14 years old, and I followed and ran up to see him. Bro, I loved Minister Farrakhan. But as I learned more and as I studied more, I moved away from some of the things that he does. Not to disrespect him as a person. I think he's got a brilliant mind, right? But the man is divisive as hell, and he ain't did nothing. He has not done nothing with everything that he could do. He has done nothing. He repainted Islam. True Islam is not what is taught in the Nation of Islam. The Nation of Islam and true Islam are not the same, and any real Muslim will tell you that. That man repaints a picture. He got people believing that a big head scientist named Yaqub grafted white people. You feel me? That shit is false, brother. Let's just call it what it is. It's false. Even though he's got a brilliant mind, even though he is intelligent, he spread some hateful shit, and he's done nothing for the Black community that is praiseworthy, as far as I'm concerned. I just had to throw that out there.
Can I give Dallas an analogy? And I'm sorry I keep talking, and I want to speak. This is one of those ones, like, you find a moment, you want to have a conversation directly at each other. And Dallas, I want you to think of something that you said, and again, it always comes to a previous reference of what happened before, what happened then. And then when you reference today, you're saying there's some struggles inside the house. There's some issues inside the house. And then you come up with us and come up to having some issues with white people. And I know you're a good dude, and Cash talked about you, and I can tell you've got a great heart, but you're also listening, and I'm listening just the same. So think of it like this, from an analogy perspective. You just explained a football team. And you explain that the football team, where there's a coach having a fight with the quarterback can't get along with the wide receiver, and then the defense is just in shambles. Now, they used to have a good team 30 years ago, but right now they suck because of everything on the inside, and the fans are blaming the league. The team is blaming the league instead of the lack of ability of the team to actually come together. That's not anybody's fault but inside, and you have to look outside then and go, it's not on me. It's not on them at this point. I understand why we have some issues. There's some systematic issues, but we got to clean. If we really want to make an impact and tell other people that they're treating us unfairly, the league treating us unfairly, y'all got to do some work. You have to look internal before you can go external. It's the only message I want to get off of that. And I do want to correct Cash on one thing. The quote that you have up, 37% of participants in Dallas, I'm on your side on this one a little bit. 37 participants are white that are receiving food stamps. 20% of people receiving food stamps are African American. That is correct that more white people are on food stamps, but from a percentage perspective, you're right. There's way more black people per capita that are on food stamps. So that's the only thing I wanted to just clarify.
Per capita. Yes, per capita.
Per capita.
True. All right, but look, let's get everybody else a part of the discussion.
Sorry, I'm out.
I want to hear what Mr. Real, what Chris, what John Tisha, and what Gabby have to say about all this. We're going to start with you, Mr. Real. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, are we still talking about what white people can do, or what are we still talking about?
All of it. You just jump into whatever, everything you heard. Let's talk about it, because this discussion got great. I love it.
Well, as far I'll go back to the financial literacy thing.
Wait. Hey, remember when I told y'all this is going to be like a big old Black Thanksgiving? Y'all remember me saying that? Go ahead.
So I'll go back to the financial literacy. I think that's something that should be a part of the educational system. I teach my kids about credit, about finances. My parents taught me about saving. I teach my kids how to make moves when they want to purchase something, different stuff. So, and I do believe that's the burden of the family to teach them. Now, on the flip side of that, when you are in a low income or in a impoverished neighborhood, it's kind of harder to focus on financial literacy when you just being taught to survive. And so I think the educational system, in that sense, they need to change. We need to start teaching. That should be part of curriculum. One class of people just shouldn't always benefit financially from everybody else. So another thing I want to address as far as what Dallas was talking about. I've had more issues with black folk than I have white folk. Even on my job, my job is run by black people, and it's miserable. It's freaking miserable because we are our worst enemy. And sometimes I'm in conversation. I'm like, man, I wish they would get some more white folk to run the company because it was a whole lot better. And that's just not to knock nobody, but sometimes, stuff can go to our head. And so I've run into issues with black folk more than I have white folk. And so just to make a blanket statement that everybody said, the problem is sin. The problem is choice is sin. Everybody gonna sin, and the problem is good versus evil. You got good people, you got bad people. And you run into more bad people a lot of times than you do good people. The problem is our trust has been so violated over time that we don't know who to trust anymore. And so I was reading the comments. I want to say this. I don't want to be too long. And I'm going to come from a scripture perspective. And I was reading one of the comments from the question that what can white people do? I'm not even coming to that point of what white people can do to help black people, what all people can do to help all people. And this is something that's scripture. Jesus said, these things I command you, that you love one another. Be kindly affectionate one to another, brotherly love, and honor, preferring one another. And another scripture says, for brethren, ye have been called unto liberty. Only use not liberty for an occasion to the flesh, but to love and serve one another. And at the end of the day, that's what all of us can do to help everybody. It's what Dallas was saying about healing. I get it. We was treated poorly, and sometimes we still disadvantaged. But guess what? at some point, like I tell my kids, or somebody going through some hurt or a divorce or something, like at some point you got to get over it. You got to, like they say, go on, dust your shoulders off, pick yourself up, and keep it moving. Because you can stay in that state and you can point the finger, be angry and bitter, or you can do something about it. You can say, you know what, the heck with this, man. I'm not gonna stay in this state. I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna keep moving. As far as if you waiting on somebody to heal you, you got to heal yourself. It's like unforgiveness. When you don't want to forgive somebody, I tell people all the time, I say, you're not the one they're not the one benefiting from forgiveness. You are. Yeah. It's like you putting yourself in the cage or in the jail cell and you got the key, but you won't use that key, but you lock yourself in there and you got the key the whole time. So healing got to come from within. You got to do whatever it takes for you to get that stuff out of your system and keep it moving. And I think just as big a melting pot as we are in this country, if we learn to love and serve one another and honor one another, respect one another, you know, and understand that we all are human beings, we all got a purpose on this earth, and if we can respect the boundaries that, you know, that we have as far as our people and stuff go, I think we'll be a great nation. But as long as we allow the narrative to keep getting pumped in our head and the poison, we're going to always be jacked up. We're going to always be fighting with each other. We're going to always be divided. The Bible said, don't let divisions and schisms come amongst you. We're not supposed to be divided. So a house divided won't stand.
I feel you, my brother.
As long as we divided, we're not going to stand. So we love, serve, and respect one another. We see him down, pick him up. Don't knock him down, pick him up. You know, so as long as
Mr. Real,
things would be straight.
Yo, Mr. Real, I miss sitting over there at your house, man, and you spitting scripture, bro. Straight up. You have one of the best hearts that I have ever seen in a human being before, bro. I appreciate that. Straight up. Thank you for bringing it home right now. You were just a big part of the piece of this show. And that's what you are, man. You're going to be the piece of this show. I appreciate you, brother. Let's go move over to Gabby. Gabby, go ahead, weigh in.
Okay, man, there's so much to weigh in on. Like, we switch topics like so many times, so it's so many points to hit on. And I agree with Mr. Real, but with Dallas was saying, certain things Dallas was saying, I was understanding where he was coming from. And then I was understanding, Cash, where you were coming from too. Dallas was hitting on some stuff that what he was supposed to hit on. He's speaking for the people. He's speaking for a lot of the people. And what he actually was saying is the things that I hear. You know what I'm saying? From people that I know. That's his belief, and that's a whole lot of other people's belief as well. And I felt like he had some valid points. Cash, I feel like you had some valid points too. It was a very interesting topic, but at the end of the day, he touched on slavery, and everybody's saying it's over with. Get over it. Let's move forward. Get over it, right? But it did set us back. It set Black people back. It set us back big time. People look like, well, hey, it's 2020 now. Come on now, you had some years to catch up, right? And that's how I think everybody's looking at it from a whole different perspective. Me personally, hey, I wake up every day, put my shoes on, and I go get my money the right way. You understand? I don't let what happened 400 years ago hold me back or stop me from paying my mortgage or taking care of my children or teaching them what's right or what's wrong. That I don't do. And I don't like when people say, oh, you're oppressed. I had a guy, he went so live and so upset. He was a white, well, it was a white guy, and he posted about white privilege, and he felt like it is. Stop saying that it isn't. And when I gave an example of what it was, everybody attacked me. Everybody attacked me because I gave an example, because I felt like they was missing the point. And they and everybody that attacked me, of course, was white. And they told me, hey, slavery is over with. Get over it. Stop being oppressed. You need to move on. And I'm sitting here like, dude, that's not, why are you bringing this up? That's not what we're talking about. Like, you went and did all this because that's how you feel. Like, you feel like every person that's Black is oppressed and has an issue because of slavery. And don't get me wrong, a lot of them are. You understand? Because when they sit here and said, oh, Black people had their own communities. They had Black Wall Street. They had this, and it was, they destroyed it. They didn't want Black people to get ahead. So a lot of them feel like, they're upset about it. Like a lot of people can't let it go. So it's still there. It's the hate is still there, and that's why you're seeing what you're seeing today. It's hard for a lot of people to let go and move on, even though it didn't happen to them personally. They felt like, well, maybe Black people probably would be ahead right now. Maybe they would have had land. They would have had stuff to pass on to their children and their grandchildren, but they didn't. They have nothing.
Look, hear me out. I understand everything that you're saying, right? I get that. I feel that. First, let me clarify something real quick. Anthony wasn't the one that said, move on and forget about slavery. That's not what he meant. And that's not what I mean. I'm not saying forget slavery and just move on past it because it's in the past. That's not what I mean. But what I'm saying is how you're saying today. Maybe we would be in a better position today if slavery never happened. Well, maybe not. We don't know because it happened and we're here. And the thing is, when I look around, I see a bunch of successful Black people. A ton. There's so many. There's just as many successful Black people in this country now than there is white people or Mexican people. There's a lot. It's just in a different way. You have entertainers. You have football players, basketball players. You got all these things that they decide to do, and then they grow into something else. Like Jay-Z, he started off as an entertainer. Then he bought into the basketball industry. Then he bought into the prison industry. Michael Jordan, he bought into clothing. He bought into the prison industry. He bought it. All these people are doing things. You venture out. It's not like you can't get ahead. We have a different way that we have to get ahead. Maybe we have a different set of things that we have to go through to get there. That may be true. But to say that we can't do it or we're being held back from doing it, I just don't agree. I don't agree. And I think that slavery has the least amount of things to do with it. I think it's because we can't come together as Black people because we argue about stupid shit like religion, and we argue stupid shit like politics, and we argue about gangs, and we argue about just different ideologies. We're so separated. We're so divided just as a people, as a Black people in our own community. We would rather pull each other down than lift each other up. You know what I'm saying? And then when a brother does do something good and he gets it, right? He leaves with it. The Black leaders that we have, they're supposed to give back and help the community. They don't help the community. They keep it for themselves. And they keep themselves eating good. And they keep their family eating good. And they keep their core people eating good. And they don't go back into the hood. They don't go back and help people. No, they just put their hand out. Well, just give me this. Oh, you just give me that now. Because one day we going to do it. One day we're going to do this. And it's bullshit. And then they die with all that money. And then the next one gets it.
Okay. Hear me out real quick for a second. You remember not too long ago, they had something called the blackout, right?
Yeah.
It was basically Black people. They were supposed to, I guess, support other Black businesses. Support your people. You see what I'm saying? They took that whole movement, right? Just what you said. Black people, they keep bringing each other down. Okay, that's a true statement. So now they say, you know what, Black people, let's stop this. Let's support each other. It's blackout, whatever day they wanted to call it. And that meant for Black people to just support each other and bring each other up. And everybody took it a whole nother way. When I tell you the stuff I read from the white people was ridiculous. I mean, they missed the whole point. So it was like, damn if you do, damn if you don't. You see what I'm saying? It was just kind of like, let's uplift our own people. Let's do this together. You see what I'm saying? A lot of white people don't go into Black neighborhoods and buy stuff in their neighborhoods. They kind of, and everybody to each his own, right? And so a lot of people in the Black community, they buy from everywhere. Amazon, you name it. But they're overlooked their own people. You see what I'm saying? For whatever reason it is. So then they come out and say, hey, let's do this for this big blackout. We're going to call it blackout. And then everybody attacked us just for that. They was like, oh, but this is racist. How can you call it blackout? Nobody said that everybody had to support it. It was just to the Black community, the Black people, rise up, stand together, support each other, and let's start moving forward. And they took that and ran with it.
Hear me out. Here's the thing, though. See, we generalize again. We don't know if any white people supported it. We don't know if it was all white people that was against it. We don't know if any Black people did shop a Black business or didn't shop a Black business. The whole point of it is, see what I'm getting at, most people don't shop at mom and pop shops no more. They're killing small business. They're killing family-owned businesses on purpose. It's being done on purpose. So nobody supports Black business or mom and pop shops no more. It's just a hard thing to do because it's so convenient to go to Walmart. It's so convenient to go on Amazon. It's so convenient to do it the way that you know how to do it. So I don't know. I mean, I feel you on the blackout thing. I understand, but it shouldn't be about race. It should be, like I say, more about let's support our local businesses, our local mom and pop shops. Quit putting color in front of everything. That's where we get screwed up at. When we put color in front of it, support your Black-owned business. That ain't gonna make a white person want to be like, you know what? Let me go over there and help out Tyrone real quick with his business. You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't work like that, man. Hold on, Dallas. I'm gonna get back to you, bro. I want to go and move over to John Tisha. Chris first. Go ahead, Chris.
All right. So what I see is the big issue we have in here, and this is something that comes with people. We tend to segregate on our own as it is. I mean, you can look 30, 40, 50 years ago, however much you want to go back. When people come into the country, they come and they want to be around people that are like them. Okay. And it's something that we do. It's natural. Chinese people got Chinatown. They want to be around their own group. We're trying to get away from dividing ourselves, and we have. Those communities are dwindling down. We're not, people aren't coming into America anymore. Americans we're not naturally segregating ourselves, because I think the majority of Americans, we are one people. We do feel that. But what I want to get to is when we start looking at, like, you're talking about the Black-owned business, supporting them. I think when you get people like myself, when I seen that, I'm like, that it doesn't sound right, because we want to get away from some segregation and separating ourselves, and you know, we don't want to just support one type of person in the community. We want to support everybody. But those are those things where it's a marketing tactic, and it's somebody taking something that's misleading. And I'm going to try to get us back on, because we left off on this topic where we were talking about the Black Lives Matters, and if you don't support it, the reason why I don't support stuff like that and I don't like hearing it is it's for the same reason I didn't really care for the slogan or the title of Black Lives Matter, because when you put something out there, it gives you two options. And if you don't agree with it, somebody could easily turn around and say, well, you don't like this type of person. And so the example I'm gonna give you is like somebody saying, we're in California, so the Oakland Raiders lives matter. And you're a Niner fan. You're like, no, I don't believe so. Oh, well, then you hate the Raiders. Well, then, matter of fact, you hate the whole NFL. And they start playing this game of, well, then you just don't like nobody. You dislike football altogether. If you disagree with the Black Lives Matter movement and you say, well, I don't agree with it because you don't agree with what's going on, but I love Black people, I got Black friends, but you say something like that, they're like, oh, you're racist. And this is where, yes, it's catchy. Yes, there might be some good meaning behind it, but you have people that are putting these events together or putting these organizations together, using specific titles, knowing what it's going to do. It's a selling tactic. Because if you don't do it, then you don't support Black people, then they could turn around and say you're racist. And that could go for anyone. And I kind of see that, you know, when you look at it like that, that's kind of my opinion on it.
I hear you. Good opinion. All right, John Tisha, you're up.
All right. So I know a couple of you already hit on it, but I'm gonna slightly hit on it. The financial education, I agree with you guys, but they don't teach that everywhere. I'm in California. I'm in the middle of California, and they don't teach that in our schools either. We had to figure that out on our own. And not all of us that live over here had functional houses either. Some of our parents didn't get along. Some of our parents left. Some of our parents died early. So we didn't always have that either. And not all of us made all of the best decisions in our lives. So we didn't focus on a lot of those things either when we were young. So that's an accountability thing. And that's like a family thing. That's a choice thing. Do I think should it be in schools? more now? Yes, of course, because it's going to help our youth prepare for their adulthood to be responsible and learn how to make that generational wealth. And then and then if you want to go like to your faith or whatever, that's also, stopping those generational curses, those lifelong curses, or habits or choices that your family has made over the years and has taught you, because that's what you're watching and that's what you learn. Well, when you learn something different that is not the same as that to progress yourself, then you have something different to teach your children, who then can teach their children. And that's how you sow into your family line, right? So yes, I think that would be huge part. But in the event that it might not happen immediately, then it goes to your home. We had to take a course. Chris and I took a course, and then we put the kids in there. Yes, Cash?
I just got to say, I hope everybody can hear her, because she knows how to break things down to a way that a kindergartner can get it. You know what I'm saying? She speaks very well. So go ahead, take it back. I'm sorry. I just needed to interject and say that.
It's okay. On that, because a lot of people don't know, especially like a lot of us, even Black Americans or people of color, whatever you want to call it, they're making really good money, but they don't have any savings and they don't have any of this, and they're adults already, but you could learn. So it's a choice. It's a choice to want to learn that, and then it's a habitual choice that you have to change. So it's in your mind, and it's in your heart, and it's in the will of the person to change that specific thing. Period. Because you can take a horse to water, but you can't teach it to drink the water. It has to want to drink it itself, right? So kind of in that same sense, if for some reason it's not put into the education system right away, then we have to teach each other how to drink the water. And then that horse has to figure it out and actually do it. Now,
I love it.
U.S. slavery. Was it bad? Yes, it was super bad. But that's not the only slavery there is in the world.
Thank you.
And there's still slavery going on right now. And there are terrible, terrible, terrible forms of slavery going on right now. Like human trafficking, children being taken away every day, countries that are still having women and children and taking men from their homes and whatever you want to call it into slavery because they can. Like, still to this day, in 2020, still to this day, they are being worked to death. They're undernutrition. Children are being taken and put into militias, right? People are getting their parts cut off, their heads, their hands, their body parts. They're being degraded. All of these things are going on in other countries. Let's not forget that there is still a form of slavery today. And I don't mean just Black Americans. I mean, if you go, oh my gosh, if you go into please, I hope God protect me, but if you go into parts in California, if you go into parts in California, and I'm pretty sure there's parts in other major cities or whatever, they have prostitution. They take these young girls because these young girls don't know anything else, what to do. They don't have, a broken home, or even if they don't have a broken home, but they're just mixed up with the wrong people or whatever. Today, in your face, under your nose, they are prostitutes. They fall in love with someone who happens to be this person, and they put them out on the track. Like, this is happening right now. There are forms of slavery happening right now that is not the same as slavery for Black Americans. I'm not taking away the importance of it at all. But Mr. Real said, when he was talking about unity, right? Well, the Bible also talks about taking care of your young people and your old people. But there's the two main commandments, right? The two most important things are faith, love, and hope, right? The most important is love. The first commandment is to love the Lord with all your heart, soul, and everything, right? And the second, it's actually, Jessica, it's actually 900. It's actually 900,000 kids or people, not just kids, but 900,000 people are human trafficked nationally in a year in the US along the entire border. But get back to my point. The second commandment is like the first. Love your neighbor like you love yourself. And there you'll find the issue of how much do you really love yourself? Because if you loved yourself enough and purely, and you knew, you would love your neighbor just as much for that unity, so you would have that peace.
That is a very, very, very good point. And I want you to finish right now, but I got to say this real quick. Now, Dallas, to answer you, my brother, because look, y'all don't know this, but I love Dallas. That dude is my brother, man. He's near and dear to my heart. I love him to death. All right. I would die for that brother, literally. But what you just said, love God with all your heart, mind, and soul, mind, body, and soul, everything. Love God with everything. And then love your neighbor as you love yourself. How important that is. If you want to end every issue that we have in this country today, in the world, every issue that we have in the world is you love your neighbor as you love yourself. You love them. And that would end it all. Everything. And then it'd be so easy to identify the people that don't. It would be that simple because we would all love each other. There wouldn't be no race separating us, no politics, no religion, no class separating us because we would love each other. What does that mean? That means if you're rich and you see somebody who has nothing, you offer help. If you see somebody that's getting beat up and you can stop it, you help. If you see somebody that's being kidnapped, you stop it. If you know some shit that's going on, you stop it because you don't want that to happen to you. So why would you allow it to happen to your brother, to your sister, to your neighbor? Go ahead, Jantisha.
One of the greatest evils is indifference. Seeing something and not doing anything about it. And you might not be able to do everything for everyone all the time or every situation, but there are things that are in your vicinity, in your bubble, that you can do something about it. And you don't have to tell the world about it. You don't have to post about it. You don't have to do that. But to raise awareness, really, it is just about doing something in the situations that you can actually do something about. I know I said you don't have to share it, but if I see something, and my husband can attest to this, sometimes he's had to stop me just because of where we are and what can happen or whatnot. But depending on who it is, because I'll go up to anybody. It doesn't matter. I've had to learn over the years to pick and choose what I myself can as a woman with 4 young children by myself. Now, when we're together, that's different. But if I can, as I teach my children, if you can do something for somebody else, then do that. I seen a couple fighting. They were a young couple fighting on the side of the street and on the sidewalk. And I don't know what they were doing, but they looked like they were fighting, and he would grab her, and they're a young couple. And I've been there. Like, I've been there. I've been her. So not that I wanted to destroy whatever they had, because maybe they really did have something good, and maybe, that was just a day. I don't know. But it was dangerous. They were next to a main street in town, and something was going on, and I didn't want, because you never know. You could be someone's blessing. You never know if that one little choice that you made changed their lives entirely. And I understand maybe it might have made it worse or whatever, but I called the police for help just to make sure that those two were okay, so that the young man didn't do something he regretted later, and so the young woman wouldn't get hurt, maybe at ends, and then be scarred for a very long time. Little things like that, little things like sticking up for the kid who's getting bullied, or loving the bully, because you don't know what their struggle is and why they're doing that, because there's always a reason. And I'm not saying that every reason is always right and it's justifiable, but there's always a reason why people do things. And in that, you'll find the root of why they're acting the way that they are. And that's where you find healing. That's where you pour in love, and you pour in understanding, and you try to help as long as they're willing to get that help and receive that help. Which moves me on to when you guys are talking about letting go. That is an internal thing. That is an internal heart thing coming into forgiveness. Forgiveness is for you, not necessarily for the other person, but that's for you to be free, to live free, and not to live under the weight of the tragic events that you went through or feeling or any of those things. It's really for you, for your freedom and your peace of mind. And struggle comes to everyone, not just people of color, not just whatever. It comes to everyone. I mean, as a mother, job security, that is a struggle within its own, especially if you're in a state that's keep raising taxes like California, and people could barely live out here, even though they make hella good money. They have to have 2 and 3 jobs, and that might be because they're not financially being responsible. But beyond that, if they are and they're still struggling, I mean, come on. It comes to everybody. A mother who stayed home because they can't afford childcare, because childcare is crazy, and you're living on one income, and you try to get back in the game. 10 years later, you have a little bit more difficulty, because then you have to go to school, because you have to have an education, even though you have an education experience, but it's not on paper. Everyone has a form of struggle in this world, but there's always a way out. There's always a way out and a way through, even if it's hard and trudging through the mud, as long as you have people around you to help you do that, or you seek them out.
Facts. Jantisha, thank you so much for that. Y'all don't know, but Jantisha calls me regularly, man, and she texts me regularly and always has a message. And y'all see why I grabbed her for this show. Everybody here has a purpose on this show. Dallas, I'm going to hand the floor over to you, my brother. And just so you know, man, I love you, bro. I cannot stress that enough. I love you, and you are an important aspect on this show. All right? I'm passionate just like you passionate. I probably got a lot of my passion from you because you helped raise me, man. You helped raise the man that everybody sees right now. You know what I'm saying? Even though we have opposing views on things, you know how I feel about you. You know what I'm saying? So go ahead, man. The floor is yours, brother.
Okay, so I got an issue. My battery's probably going to die shortly. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
You can hear me? Okay, good. So what do you want me to say? This is going to be my closing remarks.
Go for it.
I don't know how to really wrap up. I'm not as good as on TV as you guys. New for me. I want to say to the audience, I know my standpoint is not going to be the favorite standpoint. I want to give you what an experience of mine to give you an insight on why I stand this way. I do want to see the unification of the human family. Trust me, I do. And I know that this is what this is about, and what we're getting there. I remember going to a gas station one time, and I looked like Puerto Rican. I've been told I look Dominican, everything but black, right? But Arab. And so I have a lot of Muslims, Puerto Ricans come up to me, speak Spanish. I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't speak Spanish. But Arab people come up to me and they speak Arabic as well. And so there's this one gas station owner. Now in the hood, after 11 o'clock, what do you got to do, Cash? You can't go in the station, right? You got to kind of point in for your tips, and right, they go get it for you, right? And understandable. Now this one guy, he befriended me, and he knew I was a Muslim, but he didn't know I was from the African American community. So he let me in one night about 2 o'clock in the morning. He said, "Can I ask you a question?" He said, "I want to sell this gas station. This is a true God honest story, y'all." He said, "I want to sell this." He said, "Are you interested in owning a gas station?" I said, "Hell yeah, of course I am." He said, "Brother, I'm going to tell you a secret, though. I'm going to tell you the secret." And I swear to God, on my dead father's grave, he said this. He said, "If you want to be successful in America," he said, "you have to sell to poor black people." He said, "You cannot put a gas station in the white community because they know how to save money." He said, "They don't buy shit but gas." He said, "We only make a few cents per gallon." He said, "You know what I make my money on? Selling cigarettes, selling condoms, selling blunt wraps, selling pig feet, and all this other." He said, "Black people don't know how to save money." He said, "And you got to leverage that. You have." And at that point, I wanted to choke the man because I just felt so disrespected that I'm hearing for the first time, because I was almost like behind enemy lines. I'm like an agent in here. And God told me, just shut up and listen, because at this point, you're just a conspiracy theorist. Now you're listening that an organized people of your color, same as you, same religion as you, are coming over here planning to get money from the government, open up gas stations, only sell to each other, which I don't mind unity like that. grandfathering, passing down, but he had a plot not to go door to door and introduce Christianity or Islam to me. He never went to our door. He went in our community purposely, knowing we were uneducated. We're uneducated. We lack love for self. And the people, and listen, I'm not racist against none of them. Guess what? I wouldn't do it, but it hurt to hear it firsthand that that's what we're up against. So I just want the audience to know I'm not a hateful person. I know I don't stand with the most favorite group. I'm not. Believe that. But I have to stand on what I stand. I know what I'm supposed to bring to the show. I hope you bring me back. But
of course, brother. Yo, let me tell you something, Dallas. Okay. You always welcome on any platform that I ever have in life, bro. Your opinion matters to everybody here, even the people watching. Nobody here hates you. Nobody here is mad at you for how you feel. We get passionate on the show, and that's what it's about. We're supposed to be able to debate. We're supposed to be able to have tough conversations to show our passion, and still at the end look at you and say, hey, brother, I love you. And even though we got a difference of view, that's fine. Okay. But you're still my brother, and I got your back, and I want nothing but the best for you.
Yes, sir. I love you too, Cash. I do. I am with this. When I hear, I'm looking at the comments because I was backstage, which is pretty cool, and I see everybody wants the love. See, nothing but love, Dallas. I get it. But what does love look like? See, if again, I go back to the hurt woman. You cheat on this woman and put her through all of this shit for all this time, and then you wake up to yourself and say, "Oh, wait a minute. You know what? We're gonna do things different now. You know what? Fuck the past." No, you have to heal that situation. Is what I'm saying. So, what does love look like to white people? I want to know. Maybe on the next show, reparations. What does it look like? Would white people consider helping us financially, helping us set up school? That's what I think repairing should be. Not the transfer of money, but the transfer of knowledge. You're a civilized people. We respect. Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, "Don't expect the white man to respect you until you respect yourself." That's what he said. He never said, go out there and call them devils. He never said, hate a white person. He said, don't lay a hand on them and don't even carry weapons. Do for yourself. Stop begging them. But he said, I also expect them to repair the damage that was done. And financially is a part of that, and transferring the knowledge of how to educate ourselves. Yeah, we should take, if you go to our educational systems and the schools that are in Portage, Cash, and I got to end with this because I'm going to keep going. The schools in Portage look way different than the schools in my city in Gary, right? I think we could start there. So I would like maybe on another show to hear. I want to hear from my brother what true love looks like. I didn't get to hear you, John T.
That'll be on the next show. That's what we'll start with. We will start with that. That'll be the next topic for the next show. The opening question.
What does love look like? And I'll just leave that with the audience. But thank you again. I love you all. If my phone goes out, I hope I didn't offend anybody. I'm gonna learn.
No, you're all good, brother. We're closing out right now. You just began the close out of this, but we all love you. Everybody, don't y'all love Dallas? We all love you, brother. All right.
She said we haven't all hurt you. I know that. I know Melinda.
Hey, Dallas, I'm gonna drop you out now, my brother. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. Peace, God. Peace, everybody.
All right, let's move on over to Mr. B the Change. We haven't heard from you for a second, sir.
All good. I'll make it quick. I personally loved having Dallas on because one thing I started to get tired of is having conversations with people. No offense, Cash, that we think the same all the time. And Dallas is an incredibly intelligent dude that I listen to and I go, how does he think that way? But that's not my right to know what goes through his brain, so we can educate each other. So I love Dallas on the show, and I hope he's still backstage and can hear me. I think he's an amazing dude to have these kind of conversations with. So I appreciate him more than I think he probably knows, because I know people have trouble having an argument and thinking that you can actually be cool after the argument. So I just loved having the discussion with him. And the last thing I want to leave is that concept of race mixed with socioeconomic status. And it relates to this show, and we'll talk about love on the next one. But I remember, and we talked in the very beginning of this about kind of the white guilt and how sometimes the wealthier the white person, the more liberal they've become. And I think there's this guilt level of what they had that Black people didn't. And I remember I had a discussion with a kid from high school that we actually kind of came to a point. We disagreed on a social media post about a year and a half ago about this cop going after Black people. And then all of a sudden it spiraled into this conversation of Black people can't get in trouble type thing. And I'm like, no, I thought about this kid. And in high school, he used to experiment with drugs and do all these crazy things. And his family was rich as hell. I was poor. I knew that if I got in trouble, black or white, my family couldn't support me. I was screwed either way. So there's this level of it must be a black-white thing when really a lot of times I do like to, I'll make the comment of the basics of white privilege, but then I'll move on to socioeconomic, which is affected by systematic racism. But socioeconomic status makes more of a difference than we realize across the board. I didn't do things wrong out of fear of there was nobody that could bail me out. My mom couldn't afford to do these things. If she couldn't afford to pay for me to get into college and do all these crazy things. So I think the one thing I want to leave is there is a very fine line between black and white and socioeconomic issues. And I remember my friend or my high school acquaintance seeing the light during that conversation. We didn't fully agree at the end, but he goes, I get it. I didn't mean to discount your side of it. So again, patience with people, enjoying the conversation and not taking things personally, just listening. That's all. And thanks for letting this old white token be on the show.
Shut up. You're always welcome on any show that I got, all right? I love you, dude.
And I love everybody on this panel. Thank you, man.
All right, brother. Dork. All right, Mr. Real, go ahead, brother.
I just leave with this, man. I do believe that we are products of our environment. And I do believe that it starts with the family nucleus at home. You know, train up a child the way they should go, and when they get older, they won't
depart from it. That's right.
You know, so I believe that we are a product of our environment, but it is left up to us as parents. And I know it gets rough being, you know, you got a lot of single moms, you even got single dads now. And I know sometimes the odds are stacked against you, but you got to fight that much harder and believe, you know. That's where the Bible talks about your faith. You know, speak those things that are not as though they were. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, and the evidence of things not seen.
That's right.
So, you know, we have to keep pushing. You know, regardless of our circumstances, it's our job to keep pushing and pushing. And I'll leave with this. As far as, you know, going back to the whole love thing and what we can do, the Bible says it said, confess your faults one to another that ye may be healed.
Yes.
And so if we want healing to take place, you know, confess your faults and be quick to confess what you've done, and be quick to forgive, be quick to say and address the issues. Hey man, I get it, we wronged you, but we all ain't bad. And as soon as that comes back to a matter of respect. You know, once we respect each other and start understanding that, hey, man, I know your family might have been hurt or things wasn't the way it was, but, man, all of us ain't that way. And on behalf of somebody else, and that goes back to intercession and standing in the gap for somebody. You know, on behalf of my people or whose other people, I apologize, man. I want to see you win, and I hope you want to see me win. And that same attitude, man, I think the sky's the limit. So, you know, again, man, I love y'all. I appreciate this platform you got, Cash. I'm proud of you, brother. Yeah, I'm
Thank you, big brother.
I seen the struggle, man, so I'm proud of you. And keep pushing, man.
Yo, just so everybody knows, Mr. Real he has his own page. It's Brian Hill. All right, that's his page. If you guys want to find him, I'll share his page later on my page so you can get a hold of him. He's also another mentor of mine. And I'm ever learning. Mr. Real, Dallas both will tell you that I love knowledge. I love to learn. I love to further the way that I think. You know, I'm always evolving. I'm always transforming myself. And Mr. Real has had a real big part of that. Actually, believe it or not, he helped change my way of thinking at a certain point in time. Because when he met me, I was really rough around the edges, but in my Bible heavy. And I was trying to change who I was and become somebody new. And it was a freaking challenge, let me tell you. But that man taught me, he's the one that taught me about prophetic music, I guess, if you will, when I just would go in there and he would play music and I would just sing whatever came to me. And he's a very dope dude. He's a very, very, very dope dude. And I still learn from him to this day. Even today, I'm learning from him.
I still got that song we done, man.
Really?
Yep.
I'm going to be over there to talk to you, my brother. I love you, man.
Love you too, bro.
All right, brother. All right, let's move it on over to Gabby. Go ahead, Gabby.
Okay, so just to wrap things up, we have touched on so many different things tonight, and I think the major question now is, how do we move forward? How How do we move
Write that
forward
down,
as a
Tisha.
people? I feel like right now, 2020, I feel like we have taken so many steps backwards that it's ridiculous. Like,
I agree.
we're not moving forward. You said, and one thing I can and definitely agree with is social media. I feel like have you noticed since the social media came into the picture, everything started changing. Everybody have an
Yes.
opinion. All the videos start popping up, and I'm seeing videos from 6-7 years ago when people are putting it up, saying, "Oh, well, if there was a white guy, this would have happened." I'm sitting here like, bro, this
Yes.
video was out 7 years ago. Social media keeps putting it in rotation to start this, and sometimes
too.
I have to check myself, like, Gabby, you're bait right now. Don't comment. And sometimes it's hard because when I start seeing the comments, it's like, okay, just calm down, and here we go again. So it's like history's starting to repeat itself, and we got to find a
You
way
got
to
it, girl.
stop.
You're definitely right.
You see what I'm saying? We have to find a way to
be another topic,
because we're not
that's
going
to
to
be
get
a topic
anywhere.
on the next show. So I want you to really think about what you just said, so you could come on the next show and you could weigh in. I really love having you on this show, especially because how you and I first started out. I really do. It is so amazing to me to have you here right now and to hear your point of view. You are brilliant. You really are. You have a brilliant mind. So I want to say thank you for being a part of this.
And I appreciate you having me. I remember when you told me you wanted me on the show, I said okay, and I was afraid. I didn't want to be judged. I didn't want people to take what I was saying and hold it against me, because I have a strong opinion on so many different things. And one thing, a lot of people that actually know me and know who Gabby is, I have a big heart,
I
and
can see it.
I don't have room for hate and racism. I don't accept it. I don't tolerate it, and I will never let anything that's happening now, today, in this society, change my heart on how I feel about people, no matter what race you are. That's not what I stand for, and I will never, ever change. And that's just my opinion on where I stand. We got to come together. We got to bring love, and we got to bring joy, like around the world. One of my favorite songs. You guys, let me tell you what one of my favorite songs are. Now, y'all don't judge me. I know some people feel a certain way about Michael Jackson, but that video, We Are the World, when every single singer was in there just singing We Are the World. When I tell you, every time that I hear that song, it melts my heart just because of the message that was brought. You know what I'm saying? And so I definitely dig that, and I feel like we need to get back to that, and I think we can. It's just, where do we start?
I agree. I'm with you 100%, sister. So thank you. And I'm looking forward to next Sunday when we get together and we do this again. You be ready, girl. All right? All right, sis. All right, Chris, go ahead. It's on you, brother.
All right. So look, my headphones went out, so I can't hear you, but I know you pointed to me. So I want to leave you guys with this. Cash and Dallas, you remind me, and Tisha could, she could vouch for this, but you remind me of myself and my boy Kenny. Bro, we get into some arguments at work. People think we're fighting. Kenny's half black, half Filipino. I believe some stereotypes are true because he likes to get really loud and scream at me, and I always tell him, but we'll get into it. At the end of the day, bro, I love that dude with all my heart. I tell him, man, I'd die for that dude. We just have difference in opinions, and I think with that, we need to understand in our nation that we can have difference of opinions and still love somebody. I got two things before I go. One, for those Cash, thank you for letting me jump on tonight or today. I appreciate it. To everybody out there,
you want, brother.
You want to start making changes. I can't hear you. So, if you want to make changes start at home. They take it to your community, fix your state, fix your nation. But we can't fix nothing until we fix home. And that's right. I want to leave with one thing, and it might be an unpopular view, but for those of you that are spiritual, religious, there's a couple things I want people to start doing. And that's one, prayer. Prayer is powerful. Forgiveness and love. And I'm going to use an example. And this is what is holding us back. I'm going to bring up George Floyd and Darren Chauvin real quick. They both didn't live the best of lives, and they both made some wrong choices in their lives. Okay. But if we keep fighting over it, we're going to keep just doing a circle over and over. So one, we got to pray for these people. We got to pray for these individuals and hope God allows George Floyd into heaven and forgives him of everything, which we know he'll do. We got to pray to God and ask him to forgive Darren Chauvin for the wrongs that he did, because they are human. And as humans, we sin by nature, and then we have to forgive. We have to forgive those, because we can't heal until we start forgiving other people, because then that's when we can start that real healing inside. And then we got to love. And that's what I want to leave everybody with. And I appreciate you letting me on the show.
Man, I love having you on the show, brother. Hey, we definitely got to have you back, because your perspective, you brought a lot of things home too, man. You did fantastic. I know you can't hear me, but I just want you to know I appreciate you, and I hope to have you on the show every time we do it, because your perspective is very needed as well, man. So thank you, brother, and I love you.
I love you too, brother.
All right, man. John Tisha, go ahead, sister.
We made it. We made it.
Do your thing, girl.
All right. So I'll start with, whether you believe in him or not, Jesus came to save the Jew and the Gentile. And that's supposed to mean everyone. So everyone is loved. Everyone was created out of love. Everyone has the ability to change their minds and their hearts and their perspective. They have choice. I always hashtag choice is power. Why is it power? Because that power is within you. You specifically have that power to make the choice to do right or to do wrong. Your situation might push you to a darker place, but you still have a choice to hold on to the light, and you still have a choice to choose a better path out of the darkness. And the cool thing about life is what you put into this world, you get back. Whatever you're lacking, whatever you need more, if you give that of yourself, you will receive it back. If you want more time, then give more time. And usually that means time in relationship with the Lord. If you need more money, give more money. If you need more love, then give more love. If you need more understanding, then give more understanding. If you need forgiveness, give forgiveness. If you need if you need those things, you must give those things. And then you'll be replenished with what you give and what you empty out. So this world is lacking love. This world is lacking understanding. This world is, I'm gonna cry. This world is lacking grace. It's lacking peace. And therefore, if you want those things, you have to give those things. And in order to find those things, you have to choose those things and put your mind on those things. If you're constantly thinking about negative things, if you're constantly thinking about you're in pain or you're hurt or, oh, that person or whatever, that's what you're going to live. That is what your reality and your truth is going to be. But if you choose the opposite of what you're feeling, if you choose that. Now, I'm not saying that it's easy. I'm not saying that it's just going to happen like that. That is a habit that you have to form. And it takes 14 days to form a change in your routine, and 28 days to make it a habit. So that is a choice. That is a choice that you have to do. You have to choose life. Choose positivity, walk in love, walk in wisdom, share your wisdom.
I think we're giving the whole audience chills.
Your love. So just, if you want peace, you got to give it. If you want understanding, you got to give it. Love each other as you love yourself. And if you don't love yourself, then you got to look within. And I know it's painful, and I know it hurts, and I know it's scary to look in the mirror, but there's so much on the other side of that. And the other side of that healing, there's so much, so much. I promise that is a fact, because anyone who tells you that they had to go through the muck and the mire, after that, everything changed.
Girl, I love you. So I appreciate you. Straight up. You are.
I love you too.
You're great. Thank you. For real.
Oh, one more thing. I know that because I'm on here and you see my name and stuff, if you could, and you
go follow her.
I'm not saying go follow me. I'm saying those of you who choose to, because it follow, don't friend. Request, follow, please, because that's an unlimited, and it just makes it easier that way. If you could not send a friend request, but click that follow button, I would very, very much appreciate it. Period.
Just so
And I
you
love
guys
you.
know, Chris is actually Jantisha's husband. So you guys are wondering how you can follow Chris.
Yeah, see?
Chris is Jantisha's husband. So them two they're great together, and they're great on the show. That's why I got them here. Okay. So you will always be able to find them. If you don't find them on their Facebook, you'll always be able to find them here every Sunday when we do Sum of All Parts. Jantisha, I appreciate you for being on, girl, and sharing this time with everybody. I love you.
Love you.
All right. My turn. So, a lot to digest tonight. It's a whole lot to digest tonight on this show. It was a different kind of show. And I know I got a little heated. You guys know when I get fired up and I get passionate about something, I tend to speak like I'm angry. And I am. But I'm not angry at the person. I'm angry at the issue. I'm angry at the narrative. You know, I'll tell you right now, I will never identify a problem to a race. You're not going to get me to say that all white people are racist, or all white people are holding black people back, or it's all white people at the top that's the problem, or all black people are criminals, or all black people are. You get what I'm saying? To me, that is ignorant. That's an ignorant thing. That's an ignorant view. I don't share that view. Not to call my brother ignorant, because Dallas is not ignorant by any means. That brother is one of the most educated and intelligent people that I've ever had the pleasure of speaking with. And to know is just his ideology is different than mine, even though we went through the same schools of thought. I used to be a student of Islam, and not Islam, but the Nation of Islam. Farrakhan, Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Master Farad Muhammad, all of them. Those that I used to be a part of that when I was young, and I was trying to find myself, because I'm figuring that I'm black and I need to learn how to be black and learn about being black and all these things. And to me, that was the way for me to learn, was to listen to Farrakhan. Farrakhan was one of I thought that the dude was Jesus at one point, literally. I followed him everywhere. Like, I got to meet him one time. It was just the most amazing thing to me at the time, until I started growing and learning more. So that's where me and Dallas kind of split ways, because Dallas stayed in that school of thought, whereas I went to all different kind of schools of thought. And I practice all different types of religions, and I've studied all different types of religions. And because the reason why I did that is because, first off, I like to have an open mind. But second off, I wanted to find the truth. And you can find truth in everything. In every single religion, you will find truth. All right. And you'll find it mixed with falsehood, because that's what the enemy does. He mixes truth with falsehood. So I take the truth and I keep the truth with me, and I let go of what's false. All right. That being said, out of all my schools of thought that I've been through, okay, I want you to understand, why do I call myself a follower of Christ? Because after all the schools of thought that I have been a part of, only one thing rings truer than all else, and that's Christ's message. Take that how you want to take it. I'm not speaking bad against any other religion. I'm telling you for cash, for everything that I've studied, Jesus is the answer. Plain and simple. Can't get around it. I went full, and it brought me back. I went around everywhere, and it brought me full right back to where I began. The prodigal son returned. You know what I'm saying? And God is not an author of confusion. Okay? There's no confusion when it comes to God. What am I saying? God ain't gonna have you out here guessing whether or not you could talk to this person or be a part of this crew or talk to these people because of their race. It's just not how it works. If God is compassion and God is love and God is mercy, then you will see those things where God is at. Take into account that humans are flawed. All of us got something that eats at us, you know, like a thorn in our side, like what was it, Paul? So we got a thorn in our side. The thorn in my side is I got a zeal. I have a zeal for what I believe. I have a zeal for God. All right. I might not come off as a perfect Christian because I'm not a Christian. I'm a follower of Christ. There's a difference. I don't subscribe to religion. I don't, because I've studied them all. And you can find truth and falsehood in everything. But you cannot find any falsehood in Christ. You might be able to find falsehood in Christianity, but you'll never find falsehood in Christ. You might be able to try to find falsehood in Islam, but you'll never find falsehood in Christ. You might find it. Get what I'm saying here? When he says, I am the way, the truth, and the life, and no man coming to the Father but by me. What I take that to mean is, if you follow his example, and the only if you follow his example, will you see God. And in the same essence, if you follow his example, you show God to others. You show God to others through your actions and the things that you do. And if you're following Christ's message, then there's no way that no one's going to be able to mistake who's inside of you. That being said, you guys, I appreciate you for tuning in here with me tonight. I appreciate you guys being a part of this. I appreciate all of the viewers, everyone that shared this, everybody that's a part of everything that we're doing here at Streetlights. Okay? Thank you. It's because of you guys that we're able to do anything. All to the glory of God. I love you. I hope you have a good night. All right? Unite, don't fight. Be a street light. Because only you can be the change that you want to see in the world. And when things get too heavy, you got to remember to breathe, America. I love you guys. I will see you again tomorrow. Tune in next week for another part 3 of